If you want some dungeon building advice from some indie dungeon crawler developers, here is what I have run into anonymously posted in a discussion about RPG Maker, RPG, dungeon crawler. What makes for a great dungeon? What makes for a great dungeon crawler? This is what several people that developed such games had to say. Read. In a dungeon crawler, the quality of your dungeons and how much they are remembered by the player is directly correlated to how much you made them suffer. It has to be good kind of suffering though. If it's boring and tedious, people will just stop playing. And another says, take advantage of the good feeling that comes with making it progressively further into the dungeon on limited supplies. Part of the journey and joy of dungeon crawlers is map out your surroundings as a matter of course. You grow more and more used to them and learn them like the back of your hand as you build your way towards going deeper on each successive trip. Make each battle count, and no matter how silly it is, encourage full use of the game's mechanics to push away and punish laziness within the expected power range of a given zone. Example, foes that are weak to certain attributes, statuses, foes with gimmicks you must work around, etc. Don't be afraid to make bosses err on the side of unfair, but not to the extent one must grind to fight them. Price items just a bit higher than is ever comfortable. Make a few things a bit overpowered at any given time to evolve the meta across each section of the dungeon floor, etc. Encourage detailed thinking and don't try to nerf the sorts of overpowered combos that you didn't expect. Some massive damage multipliers, etc., since finding these and exploiting them is a joy on its own. In short, go play a bunch of crawlers and analyze them in a critical fashion and take away the things you think make them fun to play. Then apply them to your own game design. And I agree with all this. Because a dungeon is memorable as a biome, as an ecosystem for the adventure, as much as the adventure goes and experiences threat and lurking fear of losing due to unknown threats and dangers of the environment. But then acclimatizes, it becomes more and more like an apex living creature within the dungeon, mastering and overcoming more and more of its elements, becoming more and more powerful, and moving on to the next part, all the stronger and more richer in power and items and knowledge and ability and, most importantly, confidence and good memories from it. Then, on the next floor or next place or next boss or next encounter, they acquire some more pressure, fear and doubt. Again, only to overcome it again and present subconsciously to themselves as a hero yet again. And again, and again. For this to be successful, you want to mount further and further assaults to their confidence, but with a fair approach and learnable curve. But also to try to intimidate them into thinking that things are harder than they are, so that when they overcome them, as I once said about traps, that they feel that much greater of an adventure for overcoming such grisly things. That's why the first user says, with as much as you can torture them with, is with what they remember you by. So just be careful not to actually torture them, just to give them the impression that that is what will happen. And then they react in a way to overcome that before it happens. That's the golden place of a challenge within a dungeon. Of course, more excitement also comes from these situations that come up as the process is unfolding, where they thought one thing is dangerous, then they find out that that thing wasn't that bad, but another thing jumped out whilst they were doing it, so now it's bad, but it isn't really, but it is, but it isn't really. That's where we get the kind of peak of action that people appreciate in any combat in art. So that's my opinion and elaboration on these things I've read today, and I wanted to bring to you all because wonderful advice from them, and something I can design by myself. Well, adventurer, if you thought this was unique, maybe you can spare me a click and I could see you here next, or even perhaps every week, because every week I have more such things for you. I make them myself, or in this case, bring them to you when they pop up. I'm M, and welcome to dMTable. See you next time.